Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our Madden 21 Houston Texans franchise. Now, I do have a little snafu that occurred in our previous game, and not the game that's against the Jaguars. Let me just put that out there. So, I did record the game against Tennessee, in Tennessee. It was not the most exciting game in the world. It's rather boring, essentially. But as you can tell, it is a 10-17 loss. The downside is in trying to transfer the recording from one part to another so I could get the video edited and do the voice work, all that stuff to it. It got lost in the transfer. The file got corrupted, and bye bye recording, bye bye vidya. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you the box score from it, and we're gonna go over the player stats so you kind of get a feel for what happened. As you can tell, we had a 7-0 lead at half, extended it to 10-7 by the end of the third, but we just could not do anything in the fourth quarter, and that includes 3 dropped passes in the end zone with 20 seconds left in the game. That hurt. That was painful to go through. So I'm glad you don't have to experience that and feel the stabbing, the heartbreak that I felt. But it's something you're not really going to be able to see. As you can tell, we got completely outgained in total yards from 341 to 253. They had 126 rushing yards, and we only had 80 to their 215 passing to our 173. Now, one of our big goals for the week against Tennessee was to have to stop Derrick Henry from scoring 2 touchdowns. We could allow 1, but 2 not what we could happen. However, you'll see in a minute, Derrick Henry is the one who got both touchdowns for them. So that's kind of how it ends up being going. Punt return yards 1 to their 8. Not a whole lot of punting going on, or at least not a whole lot of returns. Some decent punts from both sides, but no returns. Kick return yards 90 to 25. We did have 1 turnover, which was an interception. Surprisingly enough, we were able to have more third down conversions, but that kind of shows you how many times essentially that how many times they were given a third down. Sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. And then if you look red zone percentage, we are 50 to their 75 with our 1 touchdown. We did end up shanking 1 field goal. Not that it would have totally mattered, but everybody knows kind of how momentum goes. And with my style of play of hammering the ball, trying to be possession, keep it out of the other team's hands, we had more possession at about 33 minutes versus their 26 and a half. So to take a look at the players, Tannehill with a QB rating of 101.2, the highest he's ever had in his lifetime, has 241 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions though. Well, like we said, because Henry got their 2 touchdowns for him. And Deshaun Watson we only had 200 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. So now let's take a look at rushing, and this is never a good sign for us. Let's take a look at our team first. Watson had 41 rushing yards on only 5 attempts. David Johnson, 36 rushing yards. They had us shut down pretty much the whole game, and that's really what kind of led to the outcome that it did, especially with this few yards. Receiving, we held pretty standard. Cooks had 50 yards and a touchdown. David Johnson got 4 for 43. Had some pretty decent ones. Still need to work on our blocking for the screen passes. Randall Cobb came through with 6 for 36. Fuller had 4 for 30. And our tight end, who dropped the game-winning game-tying touchdown on a 4th down, was 5 for 29. No touchdowns. He should have been 6 for about 39 with 1 TD. So it's kind of just the way it goes, because that happens sometime. And one thing we're still struggling with is we are still struggling with forcing turnovers. So this is our last game before our bye at week 8. I'm going to see what we can do about trying to trade for a defensive back. I need one. I don't know what I'm going to have to give up. We'll probably look at that in the next episode. But that's kind of what we're having to deal with. So let's take a look at our X Factor game that we got to face off against. And I need to prioritize run this week because Jair Alexander is going to be shadowing our receivers. Man, he's a defensive back. You know, at this point, I'm not worried about specific. We just need a win. All right. I don't think Bill. I think that's probably the smartest thing Bill O'Brien would ever say. Football is not rocket science. Actually, he'd probably go, football ain't no rocket surgery. All right. But so we're gonna go with some simple, not to try to do too much. Just make our game day goal beating the Green Bay Packers. Now, taking a look at who's available to sign, Lewis up the middle, Conley, Zach Cunningham, Vernon Hargraves, and that's probably where my cutoff is going to be. Dylan Cole stepped up for us against the Titans when Cunningham got injured, so he's got potential. But most likely that's probably where it stops as far as the signings go at most. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for it. We'll see how this week plays out in the rest of the season. But at this point, I'm not really ready to offer any of these guys, especially for Conley with the way, if we're letting Tannehill pass for dang near 300 yards, do you really want a cornerback that is allowing that to happen? And the impact of that loss against Tennessee. Both teams were 2-3 coming into that game. And let's pull up the AFC South. There it is. Both teams were 2-3, and Tennessee wins, puts them at 3-3 in the lead of the division, and we drop down to third at 2-4. Having lost our last 2 games to division teams, Jacksonville and Tennessee, that is not going to help us out when it comes to the playoff time if we are even close to being in the hunt. At 2-4 right now, it's going to be a tough game against Green Bay, but we can pull it off, and hopefully that brings us to 3-4 after this game, and we'll kind of see what the bye week happens. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we are facing. And like I said, we're going up against the Green Bay Packers, who are 5-0 this season. And this is not going to be an easy task, but we're going to do everything we can to get it done. So we are heading to kickoff, ladies and gentlemen.
And we will receive the opening kickoff here in this game, hoping to get us an early lead. We try to run the ball with Johnson, and that goes for about our average that we've had over the last couple of weeks of about 1 yard per rush. We're hoping at some point to be able to increase that to 2 yards per rush, but I may have to wait until later in the year. And we hit Fuller on the pass, who gets hammered hard, but luckily for us, he is knocked past the first down marker, and that will be a big play for us as we catch up a little bit later in our drive on a 1st and 10. And that first pass gets batted away, trying to come back across our body on that one. Just did not work out. And our offensive line is already starting to struggle with trying to keep them back. And we do get a good handoff and a decent little run for about 4 yards, give or take. Yeah, about 4 yards on that one to bring up a 3rd and 6, which is 3rd and manageable. When you're going up against a 5-0 team, you need to have the 3rd and manageable type of plays. And so we drop back to pass. And we look, and we just can't hit them on the left side of the field, Randall Cobb, so we do punt the ball away. And fortunately, we pin them back at about the 4-yard line. And they get a good run with Jones coming out of the backfield for 4 yards. bringing them to a 2nd and 6, giving them a little bit more space. We were hoping to get some more pressure off of them from J.J. Watt and Merciless and Ejiofor, that's how you pronounce his name, on the other side, but just not really quick enough. So we tried him again on 2nd down, and Aaron Rodgers doing what all quarterbacks tend to do on all Madden and hitting the out route for a big 1st down. And so now a little bit later in the drive for the Packers, here with the 2nd and 10, they run it with Jones on the left side, and he gets caught up trying to stay in the middle. If he had pushed it out, he probably could have gotten more yards. But luckily we were able to stop them, bringing up a 3rd and 7 and another opportunity for our defense. So we are going to try to give Merciless a little bit of movement, and we get around the edge, just not quite quick enough, and thankfully they dropped that pass, and it forces them to punt it away to us. And so we do take over at the 27-yard line. And we're going to keep trying with the running game. We have to keep trying. There's no way our rushing game can remain this poor. And yet we just lost a yard. It appears as though our rushing game is going to be remaining this poor. We're too stubborn to quit, though. And we know we can't just throw the ball 90 times a game. So we hit Cobb on the little drag route for just only about 2 yards on that one. Not really what we needed, but we are in a 3rd and 9. A little bit of 3rd and long. I do not like these situations, especially against a team as good as the Packers are. But one thing is they've always generally struggled against pass in real life. And also here in Madden, as we hit Cobb for the 2nd straight play in a row, this time on a slant pattern, giving us a 1st down to the 41. Now a little bit later in our drive, with just under 3 minutes to go in the 1st quarter, we take over on a 1st and 10. And we hit Cobb again. He's going to be one of our big targets this game. I have a feeling he's getting him on those slant routes, going across those linebackers, getting a little bit of extra space that we wouldn't have on the outside. And that brings us to a 2nd and 4 at the 17 in the red zone. So we hand it off, and a little bit of a decent run for us. Hoping we can make that become our standard. But we got a good 6-yard gain and a 1st and 10 now at the 11. 1st quarter is getting ready to approach the end. And we are still tied 0-0, but we are threatening right now. And we're going to be bringing it with Fells coming across. This is one of his first games back from his injury on the running play, and we just barely are not able to get there. We get down to the 1, and that'll bring us a 1st and goal. And instead of giving it to Johnson, I'm going to start trying to power this one in. We're going to be physical with the Packers today. We're giving it to Gillespie. That's how you pronounce his name, the fullback, and he just beast mode, rolls into the end zone, pushes him in, acts like it's nothing. We take the lead 7-0 against the Packers. And that's how the 1st quarter will end. So here we are now in quarter number 2. The Packers have the ball at the 44-yard line. Rodgers gets it, drops back, and we are able to get some pressure, just not quite quick enough as he gets the pass off to his running back for about 4 yards. That'll be a 2nd and 6. We're just a step too slow to be able to get Rodgers on the sack. And that just tends to be how we've done all year, essentially. We don't have a big defensive line presence, even with Watt. And sometimes Merciless is able to come off the edge. But overall, we're not getting nearly as much pressure as we need. However, we do stop Jones on that run play, and that brings up a 3rd and 4 from the 50. And that's the hardest thing, trying to determine what type of package are we going to bring against this defense, because they got a lot of speed and a lot of talented receivers. But they go with the screen play, and Watt's able to chase him down. Thankfully, the zone left our defensive backs there, forcing Jones to try to turn it up, and Watt's able to clean up that mess as we force him to punt the ball away to us. And we will take over the 20-yard line, and we get Brandon Cooks working for a good 14-yard pass on that first play of this drive. Cooks now has 2 catches for 28 total yards. He has been a solid target for us all season. So we have a 1st and 10 now from the 34. Watson hands it off, and the same story tends to repeat itself. Loss of 2 yards. That Clark guy for the Packers, he is a beast in the middle, but geez, you think you should be able to, if you can block him on the pass, you should be able to block him on the run. And we try to run the ball with Watson on that 2nd down play, and he ends up fumbling. So we didn't throw an interception, but Watson fumbles, and that'll give the Packers the ball back at the 39-yard line. And that's not going to be how we need to be operating this game. Turnovers, you cannot afford them against a 5-0 team. We had to play nearly perfect. We had the lead, and now we've already kind of messed that one up. No, this is going to be up to our defense to hang on. Hang on for dear life. Bend, but don't break. That's our new theory of defense. And Rodgers is able to hit. Who's that? Scanlon? Whatever his name is. Something Scanlon. On that pass for a first down. A little bit later, we have him at a 3rd and 4, and Merciless gets the pressure, and he's able to bring down Rodgers for the sacks. And we will flex on them big time, bringing up a 4th and 12, forcing them to punt the ball away to us. And so on the ensuing drive, we will take over at the 20-yard line. We're going to roll to the right with Watson, and we find Cooks coming across, getting open at that last second and dumping it off to him for a big gain. Watson just over 100 yards in this first half, with just over about 6 minutes to go. Needing to do a little bit better performance, because last week, we maintained against the Titans, but ended up losing it because we just couldn't hold on and get the push that we needed. So we have to, advance this lead. We have to build it up. And we're continuing to try with our running game, and it's continuing to fail miserably. But that's okay. I don't know how many of their linemen so far. I think most of them have at least 1 or 2 tackles already for a loss because we keep trying to run the ball. We try to run outside, we get stopped. We try to run inside, we get stopped. So now we're going to start passing it, and we hit Fuller. He's going to cut back and make a big first down for us on a 2nd and 11, giving us a whole new set. What a great play, and Fuller's coming through since we got him signed to his contract. He has 2 receptions for 22 yards on the day. And so on the ensuing play, the next play, really, Watson drops back, and we hit our running back over the middle, Johnson, for a big gain right for about 20 yards on that play. Big-time football. That is what we are doing here in Houston today. The Packers have no idea what's going on. I don't even know the name of that coach anymore. Matt LaFleur. Sounds like he should be coaching hockey, not football. And the way his defense is playing, I'm thinking I'm right. So we do a little bit of play action, and we dump it off to Fells, our tight end, who's going to power through and just pick up a first down for us. Ooh, not quite. They didn't give it to us, so it's a 2nd and 1 from the 18-yard line. We are now in the red zone. Full-blown red zone alert, ladies and gentlemen. And on the 2nd and 1, we've got to be simple. Just get us a yard. We can do that. But Johnson powers through and gets 4 or 5 yards. The rare carry for him. But you can see our yards per our average yards per rush at 10 rushes for 16 yards total on the day. It's just abysmal. 1.6 yard average is about our season standard. And on the next play, we find, who was that? Cobb? Yeah, that was Cobb coming across in the drag route for a good 5 yards, putting us into the 8-yard line, within 10 yards of the end zone, down to the 8. We now find ourselves at a 3rd and 3 after the 2-minute warning. And Watson's going to drop back and throw it, and it almost gets picked off. Somehow they almost cut us off from behind. But we do get a field goal, and that will give us a 10-0 lead. Our ill-fated 10-0 lead. We had that last week, and we lost by 7. We have it this week, and Rodgers just throws for 20 yards to his running back. And the Packers are going into the hurry-up offense. And they get another throw and catch off this time. Aaron Rodgers looking like the perfect Aaron Rodgers that he appears to be in this game. Not able to miss anything, and for some reason we can't tackle anymore. We decided not to tackle here in the last 2 minutes of this half like we have been all game. And for some reason, we leave this guy wide open, and Rodgers, of course, nails him quickly and gets down the field, and they call a timeout. And so they now have 1 minute to go here in the first half, trailing by 10, and he dumps it off, and that little stanky leg juke move makes our guys look foolish. Didn't break our ankles, just made our legs stop working. And he kind of escapes and gets out of bounds, so that will bring him with 53 seconds left and a 1st and 10 from the 14-yard line. Rodgers takes the snap, steps back, throws it to Jones. who is going to go down before getting too many yards, as in 1 yard. And then they now have a 2nd and 9 from the 12. 49 seconds left to go in this half. Needing to try and keep them out of the end zone, we need to maintain our lead. The Packers will get the ball at the start of the second half. We have got to protect our home turf. And he nails Scanlon on the left side, but they will stop him just short of the end zone at the 1 yard line, bringing up a 1st and goal from the 1. And at this point, I'm not too stressing too much about trying to stop. I figure if we can get a good pass play, maybe we'll have enough guys to stop him. They run it. Watts is able to get past his man, but just not quick enough to make the stop. So they do score a touchdown, and that'll take us to halftime with a 10-7 lead at home versus the Packers. Stat-wise, doing well. 162 to their 134 and 67 to their 25, thanks to Deshaun Watson and his rushing capabilities. So let's take a look at scores from around the league. In an AFC North matchup, the Steelers are trailing to the Ravens by 10. Ravens are having a great year. Lamar Jackson with the touchdown, Ingram with the touchdown as well, and they are 5-1 on the season. And our next game we're going to be looking at is another AFC North matchup, Browns at the Bengals, and the Browns 4-2 on the year, leading 17-0 against Joe Burrow, who's also got the Bengals at 4-2 this season, and just not performing much in this game. So now we go down to Florida and Miami and check out that game, as Fitzpatrick has gotten the Dolphins a 14-0 lead, and Herbert is playing disastrous. He was 2 for 5 for only 13 yards and an interception. And so now we will come back to our game here to start the second half. Like I said, the Packers have the ball, and they will get that first run for 5 yards and brings up a 2nd and 5. And Aaron Rodgers takes the ball, takes the snap from under center and hands it off again, and Jones is just powering through our linebackers. Now he's pushing our guys back. And a little bit later in the drive, we find him with a 1st and goal from the 8. Rodgers drops back, and of course the slant pass that always seems to be wide open. Rodgers nails him, and that gives them a 14-10 lead now. 2 touchdowns in their last 2 possessions. And we have successfully blown this lead. So Watson, what do? He takes over the game and gets a big 1st down run on that play. So a little bit later in the drive, we have a 2nd and 1, and we power through. Once again, you need 3 yards, we'll get ourselves 3 yards. And the Packers offense is like, what do? This team is looking like they're trying to score a lot of points. We got to keep it up. We got to keep pushing. Pretty sure that's what LeFleur was saying. And so here we go. 1st and 10 from our 34-yard line. Just under 9 minutes to go. We're calling some route changes, getting some people moving. And we find Cobb. He was open. We just could not fit it into him. And so that'll bring us to a 2nd and 10 from our 34. We appear to have lost almost all momentum so far in this game. After the halftime break and the score by the Packers, we need a big play. We need something to happen for us. And Fuller's going to make the catch. He's going to break it out wide. He's running down the left to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Texans. Touchdown, Fuller. We claim the lead once again on a 65-yard touchdown pass. We now have the lead 17-14 over the undefeated Packers. And Rodgers hands the ball off to Jones again, who, once again, for some reason, they have some wide open holes as they are moving it down the field now with their running game. Not really passing it so much with Rodgers. They're using Jones to try to hammer us down, to try to defeat us physically. But we will not stand for that as we find the Packers with the 2nd and 4, and we actually deflect a pass away, something we haven't really done all season. And that'll bring up a 3rd and 4, and they're going to spread it out wide, and I hate this type of play because it's so wide, and Rodgers is so good, it's hard not to find somebody open, but he dumps it off to the running back Jones, and we make the stop with just about a yard to spare, and we bring up a 4th and 1. And we force the Packers to punt away to us. So now on the ensuing drive, we have the ball at the 31-yard line, and we try to run, and They are asserting their defensive line dominance. They push us back for a 2nd and 14. And so after a lot of grinding down the field, we find ourselves with a 1st and goal from the 8-yard line now. Just over 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. And Watson drops back, and he's going to run it to the left. Nobody open. We just did the smart thing and threw it away. In our previous games, I think I probably would have tried something, and that's how we throw some 10 interceptions on the season. So definitely looking at trying to play smarter, and that's an example of it, I say. And so we hand the ball off to Johnson, and once again, the 3rd tackle for a loss from Clark. I think the defensive end has about 3 or 4 tackles for a loss, all because we tried to run the ball. So, got to maybe look at some of our blocking schemes. So now on a 3rd and goal, we're going to roll to the right with Watson, and we see the lane. We're going for it, and Watson will score the touchdown. He does not fumble this time, and that will extend our lead to 24-14 with 1 minute to go in the 3rd quarter. So now the Packers will take over possession. And Aaron Rodgers is going to get something going. You have to just expect that to happen. And yet they hand the ball off, and Jones takes a big run for about 12 to 14 yards on that one, giving the Packers a new set of downs from the 37-yard line. They still have just under a minute to go in the 3rd quarter. And Rodgers taking the snap from the shotgun now. And they're changing the play up, so we're starting to change our play up too. We're making the same type of adjustments as they are. And yet they get a quick pass off, and what an amazing attempt at a catch, but we do deflect it. Once again, another rare performance by our defensive backs, by Roby and by Hargraves and by Garyon Conley. Playing not really well, but well enough to at least knock the ball away every now and then. And on the 2nd and 10, Rodgers dumps it off to Jones, and we get a good solid tackle, making it a 3rd and 5 from the 43. And now we are in the 4th quarter, ladies and gentlemen. This is the crunch time. This is where things have to happen. And we make play adjustments with every time they adjust their play as well. And we get some good pressure on Rodgers, but he's going to be able to throw the ball, just not as accurate as he would have liked, and we knocked that ball away. So they do punt it to us, and we got a touchback, so we will take over at the 20-yard line. We run a play action, and we're going to try to get at least a couple yards with Watson, hoping not to get a sack counted against us because we have not had 1 sack all game. And so that will bring up a 2nd and 9 as we did gain just 1 simple little yard. And 2nd and 9 from the 21, just the start of the 4th quarter, needing to extend our lead. We've lost a 17-point lead in the quarter before in one of our Black Knight series. So I know 10 points is nowhere protected, especially since we already lost a 10-point lead earlier in the game. So now after that 1st down pass to Cooks, we catch up with this a little bit later in the drive with a 1st and 10 from the 16 as we get the ball to Cobb, who's actually going to break a tackle and get a little bit further down the field for a 5-yard gain on what they call a pass. I think is really a run, but they're going to call it a pass, so Watson will get those yards. Under 9 minutes to go now. 10-point lead. 2nd and 5 from the 11. And we're going to be making some play changes, and we do hand it off, and there is an opening for us, and Johnson gets the ball down to the 4-yard line. 21 rushes for 32 yards on the day. Not very good, but once again, I'll take what I can get, even if that is less than 2 yards per rush. So, all right, 1st and goal from the 4. 10-point lead, 8 minutes to go. From the pistol formation, we hand it off on the draw, and Johnson's going to actually power through and get a rushing touchdown. They extend our lead to 17 points, making the game 31-14 with 8 minutes to go. And Rodgers, you cannot expect him to just lay down and roll over. Packers will take over the ball at the 25, and he dumps it off, and Jones makes some beastly moves. But we are able to catch him in the end before he gets too far down the field, although he is at the 49-yard line after that play. A little dump-off pass, not even a screen pass. So now on a 3rd and 1, he throws it to Adams, and he's just going to make us look foolish. as he runs it into the end zone, and that will, I think that his name is Adams. I could be horrifically wrong. Don't know the Packers roster all that well. But he makes our defense look absolutely foolish as they bring it down to within 10 points again. And our offense, we keep wanting to run the ball. I really want to have a running game. I just don't believe our running game can be this poor, and yet it is. After that 2-yard loss, we now have a 2nd and 12 from our own 23-yard line. But I will say, one thing I'm trying to do at this point, knowing that, hey, if I run the clock out, you know, if I let the play clock go down every time, you know, you're looking at almost 2 minutes off the clock by the time they take over possession. So that is a thought in the back of my mind. But even then, on a 3rd and 12, we have to get the pass off, and we will hit Cobb coming on the slant. You can see Watson now has 354 yards passing on the day, close to a season high for him, if not already there. So now on the 1st and 10, we have replaced Johnson with Higdon. Just trying something new, figuring, hey, the old way ain't working. Let's try a new way, new running back. And it's about the same, as you can tell. We run for a loss of 3 on that play. So it is what it is at this point. So from a 2nd and 13, instead of throwing that ball, I did just take that sack. 1, it keeps the clock going. 2, I don't throw an interception. And that was just the smartest play that I could think to make. So on a 3rd and 22 from our own 26-yard line, with just under 3 minutes to go in the game, we hit Brandon Cooks on the slant, and he's actually going to be able to get us a 1st down, almost breaking free for a touchdown. Just couldn't quite make that last guy miss. What a big play. And now we find ourselves with a 2nd and 8 from the 46. And we hand it off to Higdon, who gets a couple yards. Now we got a 3rd and 9. A little bit later in the drive, just over a minute to go. Watson's going to take the pass, and it is going to be deflected. But we do go ahead, and we are going to attempt this field goal to give ourselves a 13-point lead. That way we force them to try to score 2 touchdowns in less than a minute. But they are unable to do so, as the game will end 34-21. The Packers' perfect season has been squashed thanks to our performance. Overall, what a great game by our offense and our defense. We just need to improve our running game a little bit better. But we could not have asked for more from our overall team. At 386 to their 265 and 111 to their 81. That was about as good of a Sunday as we could ask for, and we are now 3-4 on our season and head to the locker room.
And that is how you get back on track in a big way, bringing the 5-0 Green Bay Packers to their knees, making them 5-1 and bringing us to 3-4 on the season. And so let's take a look at what we get for a little minor upgrade for defeating the Green Bay Packers. I'm pretty happy with our results. Yeah, same here. Me too, dude. 1000 XP boost for all receivers. And that's it. But hey, you know what? We'll take it. We'll take what we can get when we get it. And one thing we forgot to do before the game, we're going to go ahead and take care of right now, is scouting. Let's see. I need to look at the offensive line, honestly, at this point. Our center and our right guard were just getting demolished during this whole game. A- for impact, A- for pass block, B+ for pass block finesse. Alright, he's worth adding in. Next one's round 5. B+. What's his next pointage? B+. B. Round 3. That's doable for me. I can see picking someone up, an offensive lineman in the 3rd round, especially if he's not going to be a shutdown guy. Now, looking at him in the first round, Miles Gibbs, I don't see him lasting until the second round, so we probably won't get him because we have some other needs that we really need to fill in first. Let's take a look at what we got for guard. Ooh, yeah, B plus lead block. Let's see the third round guard. We may have to just try to keep who we got right now instead of picking someone up in the draft, or maybe we get somebody out of free agency for that. Nick Dobbins, A minus, B plus, and C plus. That's no good. Alright, so now I'm going to look at the guards anymore. Let me look at tackles, because we got a good left tackle. So let's take a look at right tackle. Now that's where we see they have some A minus, B plus, and B plus. Dang. All right. Well, I think in the next week we'll probably do more scouting of our right tackles just to see. Let's go ahead and upgrade our players. There we go. Kiki QT got himself an upgrade point. And we had a great game receiving. We had, I think, 3 of our receivers were not well over 100, but at least got over 100 yards. We're just trying to get them upgraded some before I really work on, what their package or how they fit into our scheme. David Johnson, 77, earned an upgrade point, I guess because of the touchdown that he scored. Elusive back. He's not very elusive, but we'll keep trying with him. I mean, he's who we got for now, right? So that's who we're gonna go with at this point. And so we are going to go ahead and advance a week. I'm not even looking at the trade offers for J.J. Watt, because I think I've actually already removed him. It was just something that may have happened off screen, or if I did it on screen earlier, don't remember. But either way. Alright, how do I want to handle the week off? How do you want to handle the bye week? I think a lot of the guys, let's rest. We had a tough game and we played extremely well. You guys earned it. And that should give them a little bit extra either injury resistance or something we normally get. Yeah, injury avoidance +2 for the entire team. And a morale boost, which, I mean, we needed a morale boost. I think that win should have given us one enough as it is, but to add a little bit extra on top of that, can't really ask for anything better. Alright, so scout players. Let's go back to our offensive tackle real quick. Come on, get down there. Whoop, 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 whoop. Went past. And buttons are sticking. Come on. Alright, you gotta be kidding me. Any of y'all have followed my PGA series know there have been some technical issues, and this tends to happen every now and then when I do the recordings. So we just kind of go along with it. And Madden version ready to install. Alright. Oh, come on. Yes, second run talent, we know. B plus, B plus, all the way down. I'm going to go ahead and put these guys on the draft board just to see. Maybe someone will fall. You never know. It's a C plus. Ooh, I'm not even going to worry with him. Barry Newton. See about Ben Sims. And there we go. B minus. Oh man, there's not a whole lot of talent left. So I'm going to, let's just go with all positions. Let me say, hey, free safety. We need safety help. Not free safety help, but we can always look to transition guys over. Alright. Come on, keep coming, keep coming. Alright, I'm just going to forget that for now. This thing is on a major delay at this point. So, we'll cancel that out. It is the bye week. Let me go ahead and see if I can't trade for one of our main needs that we have right now is to get a defensive back. Let me just see if we can't trade for someone. Alright, I don't want to look at trading block. I'll just do a manual trade. I'll cut someone. I don't care. If I get someone good enough, I will make that cut. But I'm going to be willing to give up. Probably going to have to be, I would say, a second round pick in the next draft. I just want to see what I can get for someone like that. And to avoid any of the technical problems, I'm going to go ahead and do that stuff off camera because we seem to be having some issues. But in the meantime, if you could, remember to like and subscribe for more of the Houston Texans franchise and all of the Champion Sons content that we have on our channel. And until then, I will see y'all next time. So as always, stay safe and later, y'all.